the New York Giants are exploring trade options or throwing out an actual price. To me, how can you summarize this? What is actually going on? Because Dave Gettleman says, "Hey, we don't trade talent. We don't, we leave. We don't trade talent. He's on our team." And then all of a sudden now you get a report that, we'll still trade him if you give us the right price.
He also said he wasn't untouchable though. So they've kind of played both sides of this. Look, he's a great player. I don't think there's any argument about that. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem. The problem is that after you've had all that water under the bridge over the last 3 years, right? Everything that's happened in the last 3 years, the issues that he's had on the field, off the field, all of that different stuff. And that's not saying he's not a good guy or a good teammate, but there's clearly, there's a circus element that comes with him and has come with him and has caused problems for the Giants over the last few years. If you're a first-year coach or a first-year GM and you come in and your first act is to pay that player before you even see him in your building, well, what kind of message is that going to send to the rest of the team? Last year, a lot of guys in that building felt like what Odell did with the dog peeing thing, set the stage for what we saw Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie and Eli Apple and Janoris Jenkins.
Right.
And so, I think that's the big piece of it is that he's got to some degree, he's got to prove to those guys in that building that I'm with the program. I'm here, and my teammates are going to see me that I'm on board, and then I'm going to get paid after that. Where this becomes like a rock and a hard place type of situation is if he's saying he's not going to show up for anything until he gets his contract, well, then Dave and Pat won't get the chance to see him within the program, and he's asking them to pay him before, he puts any skins in the wall for them. That makes it really, really hard. And so I think if he shows up next week to the off-season program, or if he were to do that, and he had a really good spring and showed he was on board, they would think about paying him. If he stays away, I think that's what would exacerbate the situation and push them to go further into trading.
Hey, Albert, last question for you, too. You're close to that Patriots organization, following that team for a long time. The mighty Bill Belichick has a discussion with Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels changes his mind on the Indianapolis Colts after taking that job. What happened with the Josh McDaniels rule? Has that been tabled? What are the owners saying about that rule? Is that something they want to wait a year in terms of letting coaches be hired who are in the playoffs? Where does that rule stand right now?
Well, there are two sides to this. I mean, I know Belichick was one of the guys who was vocal against it in the room. Basically what they're saying is that you shouldn't be penalized for winning. You shouldn't be penalized for continuing to advance. There shouldn't be a distraction that's caused because you put yourself there. And so that's the argument for it. The argument against it is simple, is that this stuff's happening anyway. And you shouldn't be penalizing successful coaches, successful assistant coaches, because their teams are still in the playoffs. And you shouldn't put a team that wants to hire a coach at a disadvantage just because the coach is, the coach says. So there are two sides to this. I actually think putting in a rule to allow guys to sign contracts would be fine. It's not a problem in college. This year, Alabama, Tennessee named Jeremy Pruitt their head coach in the beginning of December, and a month later he's winning a national championship as Alabama's defensive coordinator. It happened 2 years earlier with Kirby Smart at Alabama. It happened the year before that with Tom Herman at Ohio State. So I think the easy solution, and you sort of wish they could pull this off, would be to allow a guy to agree to terms, sign a contract, and then have him name an acting head coach and say he can't work for that team until he's done with his original team. But, I think to protect the more successful teams in the league, they decided that this wasn't the time to vote on it, so it's been tabled.
Hey, Albert, I got to let you go, but 20 seconds. Johnny Manziel reportedly met with the Patriots after his quote-unquote second pro day down in College Station where he threw for wide receiver Christian Kirk. Any credence to that, or is the Patriots really don't have a quarterback on the roster after Tom Brady?
I think they're doing their homework. Look, I wouldn't put anything past them. I mean, they're the team that signed Tim Tebow 5 years ago, when no one was looking at him. And so, I believe we've seen them do these sorts of things in the past. I think Johnny's got to I think Johnny's doing a good job of being creative right now, finding ways to get in front of scouts and show what he's got. If people make the mistake of thinking all these teams are coming out to see Johnny, it's actually Johnny going to find these teams.
Right.
He went to University of San Diego's Pro Day. I thought it was a good creative way to get himself in front of scouts. Did okay there. And then, he's got a relationship with Christian Kirk, so he was able to go throw for him at A&M, and all 32 teams are there. They're all there because they're looking at Christian Kirk and A&M's prospects, not to see Johnny Manziel, but, he uses that platform and, his chance to go and get himself in front of scouts. So there have been some encouraging signs from Johnny over the last 6 months. He obviously blew everybody's trust and is going to have to earn that trust back, but you've seen some good things, and that's why teams like the Patriots are doing their research now.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.